Konnichiwa, shalom, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jambo.
Hey, bienvenidos! My name is Jadley. This is Reading with Your Kids. We are beaming out to the entire planet from the beautiful, book-loving neighborhood of Reedville, the loveliest neighborhood in all of Boston. You know, here at Reading with Your Kids, we believe that magic happens when we share stories together. When a child sits down with a parent, grandparent, or teacher, and they open up a book together, hearts connect, imaginations grow, and love shines brighter. Today, we're meeting incredible authors who've created stories sure to spark laughter, curiosity, and kindness. We would love for you to help us spread the word about our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. You can do that by telling all of your family and friends about the show and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network. And they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, YouTube, Audible, Amazon Music. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. We have a really wonderful show for you today. First up, Carrol Titus. She is the president of Golden Poppy Education, and she's here to celebrate her children's book, Unicorn Blue, and the Kara Doodle Quest. And later in the show, Inbal Alon is here to celebrate Maddie's Towers. She'll be coming to us from Paris, France. This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Fart Boy and Reeky Dog, Dino Doom. Fantastic new graphic novel written by New York Times bestselling author Joan Holub, who's written over 200 amazing books for kids. It's school sleepover at the museum. What could go wrong? Well, how about this? A snack-fueled explosion of garbanzo beans and peanuts unleashes a stink so powerful it brings the dinosaurs back to life. Now, Fart Boy, Reeky Dog, and their friends are in the middle of a dino-sized disaster. They have to solve tricky riddles, find missing bones, and stop the stinkiest villain of all, Professor Gravy Pants. Because if they don't, the dinosaurs could take over. Or worse, they could become Dino Dinner. This action-packed graphic novel is bursting with friendships, adventure, and enough laughs to shake the museum walls. If your kids love superheroes, if they love dinosaurs, and if they love to laugh until they can't breathe, then Fart Boy and Reeky Dog Dino Doom is the book for you. Because sometimes the power to save the world comes from the unlikeliest place. Grab your copy today and get ready for a reading adventure that's truly dynamite. Join us right now from the beautiful state of California. Our guest is here today to celebrate a great illustrated chapter book called Unicorn Blue and the Kara Doodle Quest. Please welcome to the show the president of Golden Poppy, Carrol Titus. Carrol, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I know that's just a background behind you, but it's beautiful. There's a rainbow and pretty clear sky. Is that what it's like in where you are in California right now?
Actually, it kind of is. It's like 77. It's balmy. There's a nice sea breeze. So couldn't be more lovely, depending on what you like.
There you go. Awesome. Well, I love talking to people about books and about using technology to help make kids and adults' lives better. And that's kind of what you're doing at Golden Poppy. Am I right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit. We'll get into the book in a bit, but tell me a little bit about what Golden Poppy is all about, how it came about, and what you folks are doing.
Yeah, so I founded Golden Poppy to address the acute national need to nurture young kids' love of STEM. And we also know, like, the most recent national assessment in science, the NAEP, showed the worst outcomes for eighth graders in almost 20 years. So this has been going on for a while. Mm-hmm. It's, pre-pandemic. And so what we do is we provide innovative learning solutions for schools and parents that simply aren't in traditional curriculum.
Mhm.
And our approach is seeing triple sigma outcomes in both homeschoolers and in-class disadvantaged populations that haven't been seen in decades. So we're really excited to share this, great approach that we think is working well with kids and teachers now.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that STEM grades are down since we hear that 40% of kids or more aren't reading on grade level. And it's pretty tough to learn about the sciences and technology, math, if you're not able to read.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's a great point. We do that. We actually have a reading assist, like a Siri inside of our software that helps kids read. And then we've developed a companion book, which again, teachers have used in the classroom and love, and they can customize it for their site and for their students.
Great.
So I totally get, there needs to be literacy, but we think that we take that to the deepest levels, both from a pedagogy standpoint. So it's, kind of behaviorally correct. There's great engagement, but there's also a deeper purpose. And that's what we're finding, 81% of parents are very upset and concerned with the declines, as we all are, as you just expressed so eloquently. And what we found from our research and talking to parents is their top two concerns are, one, getting personalized curriculum for their child, and which is very, very hard to do in the classroom at scale.
Sure.
And then the other thing is there's this lack of larger purpose that, again, that's the pedagogy and where the brain science comes in, because we know from the brain science that when you tie emotion with the logic, you get a deeper, longer lasting memory. And the purpose also, this larger context, helps you open your mind to more possibilities. So you rid yourself of limiting thoughts. And we incorporate play to do that, Jeb. So we have tons of role play throughout our software and, of course, in our book that kids latch onto because they know how to play like nobody else, right?
Yeah.
And their innocence actually works for them in this instance, because we see them as champions, as scientists, as word warriors, as wild animal or Kara Doodle tamers. So those are the personas they take on in the software, and they love it. And in the book, they're playing unicorn or, so for the literacy piece, I guess for the role play, that's very appropriate. And who doesn't want to be a unicorn?
Yeah.
And then we also have augmented reality in our software. So kids can play a unicorn, they can play Firebird, they can play a dragon, they can take on these fun animal roles where they're not having to worry about being a kid. They can just play and learn. And that's what really opens up their mind, is the social role play. They love it. And then the pedagogy, we have all these like really great character pillars inside, built inside. So even within the book, unicorns cease to exist when they reveal themselves to the wrong child. So we're kind of taking that Willy Wonka approach. You want to be the child that, gets selected. And it's a great honor and prize to do that, to have a unicorn or, your fantasy animal select you. So it helps the child, like I say, break free from limiting thoughts, not see science as daunting, and just play with it. So in the book, we use applied sciences. So like when the unicorn's learning to fly, That's applied physics.
Mm-hmm.
When the unicorn's cooking with her friends, that's applied chemistry. And when she is figuring out how to disguise herself to find her BFF, which, her Kara Doodle, which is her kindred spirit child, so she has to figure out if she's going to be a Mustang or a thoroughbred or what have you. So that gets into the biology of genetics.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything is integrated. Our software, and our AR game, which has a prize kit, that's all integrated too. And in this world of Unitopia.
Well, I know, like I said before we hit record, Carol, I'm a big proponent of technology. When my son, who's now a successful adult, was a kid, he loved, it was the first early days of CD-ROMs, and he was reading, before he read Harry Potter in first grade, because he was playing the CD-ROM learning games. From an early age.
Yes.
His sister wasn't a big fan of the CD-ROM game. She liked to learn in more traditional ways. Mm-hmm. But I know there's going to be a parent out there who's going to say, but Jedley, you just had a guest on who was talking about the fact that kids, the grades have gone down since laptops have been introduced into schools. And this seems to go again. Is this more technology? Are kids' grades going to go down more and more?
Yeah, that's a good point. I did listen to that, and I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to address that. So, what we've seen from the data from the national assessment, the NAEP, the scores have been going down for 20 years. Mm-hmm. So it's pre-tech. Mm-hmm. So there's, just like any issue that you're having, it's never one thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so technology, I'm a system engineer, and I look at things from a systems perspective. So if you have this technology and you have bad data going through it, you're going to get bad results. Mm-hmm. Same thing with whether it's hardware or software, the data that you're pulling through it needs to be, good, healthy data. It's just like food. If you put bad food in your body, you're going to get sick. So you want to eat healthy food. So we're really focused on curriculum. And then everything that we do is aligned with next gen standards or ELA standards or, good play standards for kids, mm-hmm. The correct pedagogy. So, and listening to what, your conversation, it was really kind of interesting. And so we take a different approach. Mm-hmm. On the AI side, I kind of want to explain that because that seems to be the definition. It's changing every day. So AI means machine learning. Yeah. And what does machine learning mean? Well, the U.S. Congress has actually said we need to define it. So it's defined as, a system that makes recommendations or, provides insights, just like the human brain. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the formal, accepted, government, definition. So once you've defined it, then you're like, okay, now how are we going to measure how this is being effective in the classroom or with kids? So if you look at the underlying models of all this AI, whether it's evidence-based, agentic, or generative, they all utilize an underlying statistical model. Okay, so this gets back into the systems and things you've heard, all your garbage in, garbage out. Right. That is like the basis of what I think some of the large language models are struggling with because they pull data straight off the internet. So there's been, hallucinations, things like that. Of course, you don't want to ever bring that into your home or any kind of work, environment where it's not been curated. And so the quality of the data going into these systems is highly predictive of the performance you will get out. Mm-hmm. And that's why, having my background and the amazing technical people we have that have been in the industry for many, many years, and, help build those building blocks. We do evidence-based. Mm-hmm. So everything we analyze, diagnose is all clean, anonymized, and encrypted before we, it's anonymized before we get it. And then when it goes into the system, it's all encrypted at the server. It's authenticated at the server. So even if you were inside of Google, you access somehow the information, it wouldn't matter. You could never tell who it was, and you wouldn't even be able to read it. Yeah. So I want to allay that it's highly secure. Uh-huh. And also we use our application, the interface for the child in the classroom is on a mobile device. So it's within the walls or the firewall of the school. So it's highly secure. And then, in the back of that, it's running on, secure, Apple and Google hardware. So that's it, yeah. So we thought about this, ahead of time. Yeah. So, the system is quite secure. And then we want to kind of talk about how you actually would measure effectiveness. So we start with outcomes. How well have the students, performed on a national, basis? What's the overall improvement, the rate of improvement, and then the retention across time. So we know, from what we saw, our kids did phenomenally well. We were in a, disadvantaged Title I population. And, after 13 sessions, in the fall, they then took their national assessment because they're fourth graders, and they all got triple sig. The entire population moved 3 sigmas. Excellent. So it's highly effective. So we know that. Over time, what we also saw from the kids using the tool or the application in the fall, they are also part of an academic team. And this is like a competitive oral and written test that the kids were taking. They did phenomenally well. And they actually commented, Mrs. Hunt, that was our teacher. I remember this from Unicorn Blue. Mm. I remember this it's anecdotal, but how powerful is that? And, so that's a long time for a child to retain that kind of knowledge. So, we know there's evidence for that as well. And then we want to make sure it's saving the teacher's time, not adding more burden, right? Teachers, 90% of them pulled content from the internet in desperation to fill gaps in traditional curriculum. That's from the RAND Corporation. And so we believe that all children deserve to be well positioned for the digital age. And what we've seen is by just applying Unicorn Blue in the fourth grade and nothing else, if you project that out over time, the bump that they get a persistent benefit that lasts throughout their lifetime. And helps them prepare for the rigors of, their career and whatever it is, because now they have a scientific method. And I think from a inspiration or innovation kind of standpoint, why it's so powerful is the measurements that the science provides. And so it gets kids thinking, critical thinking going immediately as they're navigating inside or just in life, and then interpreting the information they're given we prompt them in the software, but we also, you get that in reading. You
Sure.
get critical thinking in reading as you follow the character, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where they're going, how are they interpreting information they're given to solve their problem or quest? And then, how are they applying it, or what outcomes do they have available to them based on their decisions they're making? So that's what we really want to see, is like building up the critical thinking in the child. And in order to get them to do that logical stuff, we make it really super fun and engaging. So they don't even know that they've gone very deep into the sciences, but in a very engaging, playful way.
Now, one of the things that we've talked about here in the podcast a lot is how wonderful it would be if every kid was able to have an IEP, and that not necessarily needing special education, but that every kid was being taught the way they ideally learn. Does your tool allow teachers to do that? Does it kind of recognize, oh, Sally is really engaging doing A, Tommy, not so much, we need to do B with him, which would allow the teacher to present more individualized learning experiences?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great point. So that's exactly what we want to do. We want to give back the teacher's time, take away the burden of, creating the content, integrating the content, and then personalizing it. It's insane, that we ask them to do. So right out of the box, they get, they get all that and more. So we do thousands of formative assessments per student, depending on how many sessions they're doing. So, then, we curate it and analyze it. And then we have another interface for the teachers where we prioritize, the micro and the macro, concepts that they need or are missing, the gaps. We identify the gaps, and then we provide personalized recommendations, where to go next. We prioritize it based on, who needs it most. And we can do that because we have our own summative, and it's all integrated.
Yeah.
So
it kind of reminds me of when I was a kid and we had this thing called SRA kits. I have no idea what the initials stand for, but it basically allowed everybody in the classroom to learn at their own pace. I remember there's some kind of color system, and, dummies like me wanted to be competitive and race through them and everything. But it also gave the teachers, if somebody finished ahead of time, like with me, someone who is going to be a pain in the neck in the classroom, to say, oh, you're done. Great. Go to the library and do something creative down in the library while I'm here taking care and you're not distracting me. And, so it's, I love the idea of, making it easier for teachers, making it the experience better for kids.
Well, that's exactly it. So your teacher's able to check in with you very quickly because she knows what color you're on. Right? So it makes the classroom it just eases the classroom management. And that's what we basically give them an executive summary, and it's color coded. It's like a map. And so they know which child to talk to first and what, concept they need to, check on, and they can revector them as they see fit.
Awesome.
And we've seen, actually, to your point, I have to say, after the kids use this, one of her, Kendall's students was really, really fired up, because inside we don't just teach the concepts. We introduce them to amazing innovators, that the kids really glom onto. So, we have, so we talk about Galileo. We talk about how Kepler identified a flaw inside of Galileo's telescope. And this one child was really interested. So he's like, I'm going to go check out books. So these are like, we do, historically relevant innovators that, bring that initial innovation to life. So yeah, we have an observatory where the kids learn about the different lenses inside of telescopes without having to go to the observatory, which I would never not want the kids to do. But for the kids who can't,
Right. Yeah.
it's a great way to do, that kind of learning and exploration, right? They're great exposures for the kids.
Yeah.
And they're multimodal. So we have, sounds, animations. The kids have to read. But it's anything visual, or audio or kinetic. The kids are highly engaged, and we have a 3D environment where they have to navigate through, and they love it. So they're inside the world of Unitopia sometimes, and inside of Unitopia, there's biomes that the fairies care for.
Neat.
And each of the biomes, helps contribute to this, trust-based society where they all get along and the society does well. So, kids love exploring that, just on their own because it's fun and they have autonomy to go wherever they want.
Yeah.
And it also develops their agency. Hey, how could I take this and, apply it somewhere else? So, this is what we want, for our kids. I loved pop-up books when I was a kid. They were so interactive and so fun. And I loved the ones that had like the 3D plastic on the cover where they had these beautiful images. And I'm like, I know I can really go into the story. And that's what we've done. It's, we've got this environment that the kids really connect with.
Awesome.
And it's a way for them also to connect with each other because when they're inside of these labs or in our AR game, they have to collaborate. They have to form teams. They have to figure out how to work together, solve problems, make better decisions. So there's this whole social aspect.
Yeah.
So we strive to have kids have this great experience that they'll never forget.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to share with you and your audience. We have, a school version but we also have two consumer versions. So one's more of a quick mobile, small device, party pack kind of thing, but you can download some of the labs through that. And then we have a larger device or application for the larger screens, the tablets. And so we have a consumer version, so anybody at home can do it. It's a great way to, play with your kids and have this great educational exposure as well.
Yeah. Well, let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Unicorn Blue and all the great things you folks are doing at Golden Poppy.
Yeah, sure. Just come visit us at www.goldenpoppy.net. And we've got a software, games, and this book that's all integrated. And it'd be a fabulous way to spend time with your children this summer.
Absolutely. We've had a really great time speaking to the president of Golden Poppy and learning more about Unicorn Blue and the Kara Doodle Quest. Our guest has been Carrol Titus. Hey, Carrol, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thanks so much.
Hey, for all the authors that are listening out there, I wanted to share with you this great email that we received here at the Reading with Your Kids podcast from Dr. Linda Mubarak. She is a past guest and the author of Maxine's New Job. Here's the email. Dear Fatima and Jed, good news! Maxine's New Job has been nominated to receive the prestigious Henri Award at the 2018 Christian Literacy Awards for Outstanding Literacy Work in the Children's Book Division. I sincerely believe your certifying Maxine as a great read helped bring increased social media attention to the book. Thank you for the exposure and the great marketing. We are so happy for Dr. Linda Mubarak that her book, Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read, Maxine's New Job, received this prestigious recognition. We would love to help your book receive that same kind of recognition. If you are interested in having your book considered for our Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program, please visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. You can click on the contact button, send us a note, and we'll send all the information back to you, or you can go right to our Certified Great Read page on our website. It's fun, it's easy, and it is really an effective way to let the world know that your book stands out above all the rest. The Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program. Hey, my friends, if you are like so many people I know, one of the favorite parts of your morning is that first quiet cup of coffee before the day gets rolling. And recently, I discovered a company I think a whole lot of our Reading with Your Kids family, you're just going to love it. It's called Afuera Coffee Company. What really caught my attention is that Afuera works directly with local farmers in Central and South America, especially in El Salvador, a nation I adore. And all their beans come from certified Rainforest Alliance farms. So you're not just getting incredible coffee, you're supporting ethical farming and environmental conservation too. And friends, this is not ordinary supermarket coffee. These are specialty, hand-selected beans grown in rich volcanic soil, and you can taste the difference. Smooth, rich, aromatic. Whether you love a bold espresso or a lighter roast, they really do have something for every coffee lover. Another thing I love, their packaging is compostable or recyclable, and 5% of every sale goes to charities that help preserve the great outdoors. Because they're sponsoring Reading with Your Kids, I arranged an exclusive 15% discount for our listeners. Just head on over to afueracoffee.com and use the promo code READ at checkout. And yes, when you use that code, you're also helping support the podcast. So great coffee, helping farmers, helping the planet, helping Reading with Your Kids. That's a pretty magical combination right there. Join us right now from Paris and the nation of France. Our guest is here today to celebrate her new picture book. It's called Maddie's Towers. Please welcome to the show, Inbal Alon. Inbal, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, everyone. I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be with everybody today.
I'm super happy to have you on. Tell me, I have to ask, can you look out your window and see the Eiffel Tower?
Not from this window, no.
Inbal was telling me
it's not
before.
far, though.
Okay. Inbal was telling me before we hit record that she is on sabbatical. She is a teacher in Massachusetts, and that's really exciting. Talk about, if you can, just having the ability to say, okay, I'm going to take a sabbatical. I'm going to go to another country, and I'm going to focus on my writing. That must have been both exciting and, I'm guessing, a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think when you're an educator, you're always surrounded by kids, and there's so many moments and ideas that you get from the children and being in schools, and it's always been sort of like this mental list of like, oh, I want to write this someday, and I want to write about this someday, and kind of keeping them. And then, yeah, being able to take a sabbatical, I think, is a real, it's a real gift. And, that the school system allows you to do that, and, having the privilege to do that, it's just been really wonderful to have the time to write the stories and to work with illustrators and to, to work and, you know, get them out into the world. And yeah, parts of it feel scary. I think whenever you do something new and you kind of have the time, you know, you don't really know how it's going to go. But I've always sort of felt that sometimes when you want to try something new, you kind of have to create some space for it.
Yeah.
And so that's been really a nice part of it.
Tell us about Maddie's Towers. Who are we going to meet in this story?
Yeah, so Maddie's Towers is a story about a girl called Maddie. There she is.
Yes.
This one. A girl called Maddie, and she comes home from school one day, and she's really upset. She's, you know, she shares with her mom that her best friend May has shared something with other people in the class that was a secret that, you know, that she didn't want shared with everybody. And she's really devastated, you know, and sort of feels like she's never going to be able to trust anyone again. And so the story that continues is a conversation. It starts with a conversation with her mom about, you know, what trust is. And they make a metaphor together that trust is like a tower. It's something that you build carefully one block at a time. And it can fall, but it can also be rebuilt. Yeah. And so, you know, Maddie sort of is faced later on in the story with a moment in which she has to decide, you know, is she going to try to kind of get back at her friend, or does she want to rebuild? And, you know, it kind of goes from there.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, young girls, I'm guessing picture book that we're talking Maddie's maybe second grade, third grade, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably second grade, first grade, in that area.
That is such a difficult time for girls, I think, in their relationships. You know, guys, not everybody's different, but typically guys, you know, they have a difference of opinion. They might get in a tussle, and 2 minutes later, they're back best friends. Whereas a girl can just say something with the wrong tone of voice, and it's a drama that's going to last for weeks.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I thought of the story at different times. You know, a lot of times in my classroom, I'd hear people say, you know, I'm not your friend anymore. Mm-hmm. And I always told my students, you know, you shouldn't say that to people, right? You could say, like, I'm mad at you, or I'm upset with you, or I don't like that you did that. And that's like something you could solve together. Mm-hmm. But just telling someone, you know, I'm not your friend, like, I think kids don't really understand, like, how hurtful that is, and that it can make people feel really sort of not secure in their friendships and their relationships with others. So, you know, a lot of the beginning of elementary school is really kids learning all of those social emotional skills, so that they can be together and they can be good friends and they can make kind choices. And I thought trust was a particularly hard one, mm-hmm. Especially because, like, sometimes when we think about trust, we just think of the extremes of, you know, like, don't lie or don't do something that you told people you wouldn't do. But I think of trust when we think of it like in a relational way, and, you know, when we trust someone with our friendship, it's much more about the smaller things, right? It's like the cumulative little acts that sort of like stack up and make someone feel like, oh, that's a good friend. That's someone I can trust. And that's really conceptual. It you know, I think when you try to explain that to young kids, that feels like it's too abstract. And so the tower metaphor really felt like something that kids could relate to, and that you could also do a lot of sort of games and activities, which, you know, I actually suggest a few of those at the end of the books that parents and educators can do with kids to kind of make that concept come to life and be something that kids can understand more easily.
Yeah, yeah. This seems like one of those books that if something like this happens to your kids, you run right out and you find the book that you can bring home and talk to your kids about. And certainly that's a valuable way to use the story. But I'm a huge proponent of starting conversations before there's an emergency. So, sitting down with your kids and talking about trust and friendships through a book like Maddie's Towers, when everything is great, just so that they're have some things to fall back on if the situation ever arises.
Exactly. I think, it's definitely, it's something that, a school counselor or, a social worker might kind of have on their shelf, for when those things happen. But I think for teachers and for families, it's a really nice proactive tool to kind of have children think about friendships. And it's also, a relatable story. I think it has really bright illustrations, and a lot of what happens in the story, are things that happen every day in elementary schools. And so I think it's the kind of story, kind of early reviewers that we've had, and also just people have been reaching out to me now that they're reading the books, kind of say, like someone wrote me and said, my daughter was like hooked from the first page, just because it starts quite dramatically, right, with Maddie coming home and being really upset. And so kids seem interested in listening to the story, and it does seem to spark some good conversations.
Yeah, I bet. I have this memory of my daughter who didn't get involved with the nonsense. I remember very clearly one day someone, Susie said, "Oh, be my best friend, but don't talk to Janie." And then Janie said, "I'll be your best friend as long as you don't talk to Susie." And my daughter made a very dramatic and very loud announcement. I don't need to be best friends with anybody. I'm going to be friends with everyone. So just knock it off.
That's lovely.
Tell me, was there a particular moment at school where you saw this happen that said, "Yep, this is going to be a story I'm going to write about"?
Yeah, I think at school it was more kind of like that. I see this happening a lot, that there's sort of times of the year where I just see kids kind of testing those boundaries of friendship and trying to figure those out. This particular story, the moment that it sort of came together more as a story was a really good friend of mine sent me a video of Brene Brown talking about trust. And I really liked the way she talked about it as sort of something that you build over time. Mm-hmm. And, the talk is for adults. And so after watching it, I kept thinking about it. I was like, how would I explain this to younger children? My kids are older now, they're teenagers, but I still work with young kids. And so I kept thinking, how do I explain this to young kids? And then, slowly this idea of this particular story kind of came together from that, taking all those experiences and kind of bringing them in around this concept from the talk that I heard.
Tell me, what was it like when you received your first author copy of Maddie's Towers?
It was really exciting. I mean, I've wanted to write a children's book for a very long time, as long as I've been working with kids. I just love picture books, and there's so many great ones out there. I love so many books and authors that I read, and I've always wanted to do it. And it's been a lot of working and editing and revising and working with illustrators, and it's a long process, and there's definitely ups and downs. And so actually seeing it was just, it was really an amazing feeling. And I think an even more amazing feeling has been, one of my mentor teachers who mentored me when I was a young teacher has sent me a picture of it in her classroom. And, some friends have been sending me pictures of their kids reading it, and that's even been more special. It's like, wow, it's like out in the world. It's real.
Yeah. Tell me, as you're writing this book that obviously has a great story, something kids, like you said, get hooked on right in the beginning, but also has a message to it. Are you aware that you're still teaching, but in a different way that you're teaching through your stories?
Yeah, definitely. I think, I think I really try when I write stories to live between the two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a teacher, I obviously have sort of a lot of experiences with kids, and there are moments where I do think of, this is a way that I want to teach something, or to like help kids start conversations about a particular topic. But then as an author, I'm also, right, like you write books because you want children to love reading and you want them to enjoy reading. And sometimes that means that, books are funny, and other times it means that books are sweet. There's so many different ways that kids enjoy books. And so I'm also making sure that I write something that I think kids will enjoy. And I think, it's very much like learning in the classroom. We do our best learning when we're fully engaged.
Yeah.
And when we are interested and excited. And so, yeah, I kind of try to do both, and do it in a way that, both kids love the book and just enjoy the story. And, if they're learning something along the way, that's great. And also that the adults reading to them find it, that it starts conversations and deepens their relationship with the kid as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me, as a teacher, and I'm assuming young kids.
First grade. Yeah.
First grade. So they're in there, they're starting to read independently. And what kind of strategies do you have when you discover there's a kid and the kid's not getting it? It's not clicking. The other kids are jumping in and learning how to read and really diving into it and loving it. But this kid, it's like, oh, no. How do you inspire that? I guess we call them reluctant readers. How do you inspire that reluctant reader?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's there are a few answers to that, right? I mean, part of it is, there's an instructional piece to that, right? And we've done a lot of changing how we teach literacy in the last few years, really responding a lot to this body of research that's informed literacy instruction called the science of reading. And so there's obviously kind of like an instructional piece, that's quite complex in terms of figuring out what are the barriers that the child is facing and how do we help remove those barriers so that they can be more successful with reading. But I think there's also like a big motivation piece, and working with children and trying to explain to them that, lots of people are helping them figure it out, but that it is okay, and that people learn in different paces, and that it's okay, and that if they keep working at it, they will get there. And a big part of that for me has always been helping them find books that they love to read, even if they can't fully read them by themselves yet, or helping them find books that they love that they can read by themselves, just to keep them motivated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Other teachers on my team used to call me the book fairy, because I just love finding that book that makes a kid smile and, want to keep going and want to do that. It's actually like one of my dreams, in the future projects of my writing, is to work more on writing early readers, which are like the books that kids read more independently on their own. So that's kind of a future project that I hope to do too.
Speaking of books that kids love, what kind of books did you love when you were a kid?
Yeah, it's a good question. I wasn't like a huge reader when I was a kid. It's just kind of funny because I love books so much, but I wasn't a very big reader when I was a kid. I think the first book series that I remember, and I was obviously older, but that I remember like really falling in love with was the Harry Potter books.
Oh, wow.
And just really, not being able to put them down. And But yeah, as a teacher, I have lots of picture books that I really love. I mean, some that come to mind are, I really love The Rabbit Listened. That's a picture book that I really love. Your Name is a Song is another one that I read to kids all the time and really love.
Yeah. Can we expect to see any books that are set in Paris or France in the future from you?
In the future, that's a good question. I don't have one yet. There's so many books about about Paris and France. I'd need to find a way to make it original and creative, but maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Well, that's the answer to another question is now that you've written your first book and it's out there, it sounds like you've got the bug, and we're going to be seeing more books from you in the future.
Yeah, I actually, I have two more that are kind of in production that should be out soon, hopefully. I have a book called The Wise Get in Trouble, which should be out at the end of August.
Okay.
It's a book about a girl that's too curious for school. We always tell kids you need to be curious, but then we also have all these rules at school. And so I'm hoping that will be out in time for September. It's, I think, a really good book for the beginning of the school year. And then I'm working on another one, which is called My Aunt's Swing, which is about a real swing, a very large swing that my aunt had. And it's a book about sort of being brave to do something that scares you.
Wonderful.
And yeah, hopefully that will be out in the fall. And then, I'm hoping to keep going. It's one of the things that's been a real pleasure is getting to meet so many people in the children's literature community, so many other authors and, book reviewers and people working on podcasts. And it's a really nice community. It feels like people really care about each other and know that there's space for all of us, and kids need different stories and we all contribute in some way. And it's been lovely. So I hope to be able to keep going and to keep being part of the community.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think it's the reason why Reading with Your Kids has been going, and we're approaching episode 2400. The people in the kidlit community are super supportive of each other and fun. And if you want to get a taste of how big the kidlit world is, go to the International Children's Book Festival in Bologna, Italy. It is crazy. You will sit there and go, this big? It's insane.
I definitely want. I've been seeing people talk about the one from this year, and I was like, some year I really hope to go.
Well, we should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Maddie's Towers and the other books that are going to be coming from your imagination.
Great. So Maddie's Towers right now is available anywhere that you order books. It's also available on my website, which is inbalalon.com. Sorry.
No worries. We'd have a great time.
And on my website, you'll also see things with my upcoming books. There's a newsletter you can sign up for if you want to hear about when things come up. And there's also, if you sign up for the newsletter, there's a teacher and a parent guide that you can get for Maddie's Towers. So that's really the best place to learn about everything.
We've had a wonderful time speaking to the author of Maddie's Towers. It's a debut picture book from our guest, Inbal Alon. Hey, Inbal, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope to be back someday soon.
Hey, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. If this episode made you smile or gave you something to think about, please consider sharing a link to the show with someone you love. Leave a 5-star review and, of course, subscribe to the show wherever you find your favorite shows. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Carrol Titus. Please be sure to check out Unicorn Blue and the Kara Doodle Quest. Also check out Golden Poppy. Also want to thank Inbal Alon. Please be sure to check out Maddie's Towers. I want to thank my team, Chris Doherty, Daylene Rose, Advina Lopez, Ella Badier. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better, more empathetic place. And you do that every single time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.